These sessions are 60 minutes, and I have a special guest today, Roger, who you'll be meeting in about 3, 4, 5 minutes from now. I've got a ton of questions for Roger about the TurnKey business plan. But if you have any questions during the session, please feel free to ask your questions at any point in time. When you ask a question, and at this point somebody's going to help me out, put QQ in front of your question, 2 capital Qs. It just helps it to stand out from all the other comments. Please comment away. Please comment during the session. It's great to have some interaction. But also, please feel free to ask questions as well. Okay, a few announcements that I just need to run through. So first thing is, many of you do know, is to help make the world a better place. We always make a contribution to a project somewhere around the world for everybody who comes live to one of our live training sessions. So we do that through the amazing B1G1 organisation. Our project for the month of March, we're still in March, is helping people in Tigray where they don't have access to clean water. So for each and every one of you, when we get the report afterwards telling me how many people are here live, we will be making a contribution on your behalf to that worthy cause and helping people get access to clean water. So thank you for coming along. Whenever you come to a live session, we do something good in the world to help make the world a better place. Next thing, I know most of you know this now, but I wrote an ebook a little while ago on one of the things that people struggle with the most in the profession in terms of pricing, which is how to price cleanup work. If you've not got that yet, those of you that are new, you might not know this, we'll put a link into the chat box. You can grab a copy of my 28-page ebook where I teach you some of the core skills of pricing cleanup work. So please feel free to do that. Couple more quick announcements. We have lots of live streams coming up. I will mention them again at the end. There's one actually tomorrow. I'll tell you about tomorrow's at the end, but there's 2 next week that I think we've only just started announcing. And so I will be doing a live stream next Tuesday, this time, Tuesday of next week, with our head of marketing, Emily, and we'll be running through how to grow your accounting firm in 2023. So if you want to grow your firm, if that's important to you, that's next week, Tuesday. And on Wednesday, we're going to be doing a 60-minute live stream talking about 5 practical uses for ChatGPT. Everybody's talking about ChatGPT right now. It is, I think, a huge opportunity for you. This is a wave you need to be on. You don't want to get behind the curve on this. And so we'll be talking about how you can use ChatGPT in your accounting firm. That's next Wednesday. So same time as usual, same time as today, but obviously next Wednesday. So Tuesday and Wednesday, I know many of you are in the Value Pricing Academy, so it does clash with some VPA sessions. My advice to all of those of you in the Value Pricing Academy is prioritize those sessions because my live streams, they will be available to catch up afterwards on YouTube. Right, let me just see. There's a few comments I want to just refer to before we then pass over to our guest. So Bill Robinson, you did say earlier, I watched some of Roger's other content on YouTube in preparation for today. Already wrote a great quote down. We don't just make your accounting data accurate, we make it useful. Thanks, Bill, for that comment. And I know Roger's probably seen that as well, which is great. Any other comments that I've missed that I want to just mention? So Sarah's kindly said, that's what 2 capital Qs look like. If you have a question, put 2 capital Qs in front. And Dan says, I took Roger Connect's universal bookkeeping course when I first started my business. A wealth of good knowledge. There absolutely is there. Sarah's put in the link to the cleanup ebook. So make sure you grab that. Letta is new, so welcome Letta to these sessions. And the last comment for now is Lucy Ryan is here. Hi, Lucy, from Montserrat in the Caribbean, on vacation. So amazing, Lucy, that you're here and you're on vacation. I hope you sat on the beach or something. That would be pretty cool. I think that's where most of us would like to be working, sat on the beach. Right. Let me bring on my special guest for this session, which is Roger Connect, who Roger I've known for several years. We were chatting earlier, trying to work out where we first met. It will have been at QB Connect in the US somewhere, or Scaling New Heights. Roger's been working in the profession, working in the accounting profession for 20 years now. He's the host of a podcast. The podcast is Building the Premier Accounting Firm. which we were talking about. I think I did appear on it at some point in the last couple of years. Time flies. But hi there, Roger. Great to see you.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So yeah, you've been in the profession for 20 years doing stuff, and I know that you run the Universal Accounting Centre. So I know we're going to get talking about turnkey business plans and stuff, but it'd be great to get a little bit of background to you. And so, what is the Universal Accounting Centre? What does it do?
Well, we're basically a post-secondary school for accounting professionals. So like Dan did the shout out there at the beginning, we work with individuals that are in the process of either starting their accounting business, offering bookkeeping, accounting, tax services. We also have the program where we work with individuals that are building their companies, whether we're working with the owner, training their staff, we're helping them essentially become, as the podcast says, build the premier accounting firm in their area. We do also work with people that, from an employment perspective, would like to get the skills, the training that they would like to have for those promotions, those pay increases. Essentially, we as a post-secondary school specialize in accounting, helping everyone have the premier, basically, career that they would like to have in the accounting space.
Awesome. And of course, you're the president of Universal Accounting. So just a bit of background again. What's your background? What was your journey? How did you come to become the president of Universal Accounting?
Excellent question. So I started more than 20 years ago working as a headhunter, a job placement assistant coordinator. I was working for a placement agency. I was taking graduates from Universal Accounting Center and placing them on temporary and permanent assignments, basically getting them jobs. And in that process, became very much a fan of the graduates of Universal Accounting because they were very competent. I was able to place them on assignment. My clients that were paying for these temporary or permanent individuals were very pleased with the candidates and would come back and oftentimes ask for more individuals that they could add into their accounting departments. And for me, that was my resource. And so I became very fond of Universal, got to know the owners and those that were actually involved in the curriculum. And an opportunity presented itself for me to become employed at Universal Accounting. And more than 20 years ago, I started with that, moved in various roles and positions within the company, such that about 10 years ago, I became then president.
Oh, awesome. That's fantastic. Okay, so we're going to be talking about this kind of idea of a turnkey business plan. So I know there's a ton of content that you've got that you want to share. And I know at the end, for anybody who wants more information, we will be sharing some links into the comments where you can find out more about Roger and what he does. So we'll get to that later. But let's get into some of the content, the details, and let's talk about when you first start working with an accounting firm. Are there questions that you start to ask to determine what should they be doing to work on their business, which is an important concept. I know, working on the business, which is something I came across some years ago, that we need to be treating our business as our number one client. Anyway, what would be some great questions that you would ask people?
Well, when I start, I oftentimes find that the business owner has a lot on their mind. They've got a business they're running, whether they're a solopreneur or they're working with an accounting team. All of a sudden, they're trying to be that leader that they know they need to be to run their organization. And as you're trying to run your company, there's a lot that you're responsible for, a lot of balls that you're juggling, a lot of hats that you're wearing. And so I try to help the conversation along, doing a process that we refer to as mapping the business. Mapping the business implies that I'm going to ask 3 questions of you. And as the owner, you need to help me identify what is the priority in your company right now. So I'm just going to go quickly through this question process and help all the listeners assess for themselves which it is that they need to be focusing on. And it's essentially the biggest challenge or opportunity that exists in your company. And the first question is regarding marketing and sales. Are you in a growth position that you're trying to grow your company, getting more clients? You're just not busy enough and you need to find more work to do. And if you're in that growth mindset, what we need to be doing is having a conversation about marketing, sales, pricing, a lot of things that oftentimes get, I think, overlooked simply because of the fact that for many accounting professionals, this is not their forte and they just don't know where to spend their time as it relates to marketing, sales, pricing, and so forth. You do a great job, Mark, addressing the pricing element, obviously. But what we're trying to do is just figure out first, is marketing, growth of the firm, what we need to prioritize. Now, the second question is, rather than marketing, I don't need any more clients. I'm plenty busy. I have all the clients I want. What I'm focused on is offering quality services that I can price my services such that I'm getting paid what I'm worth. And for a lot of people, it's basically saying, I've got these wonderful clients, but I know I could do more for them. Maybe more than just bookkeeping, I should be doing accounting. Rather than bookkeeping, I should perhaps be doing tax preparation. And it's looking at what other resources can you provide as value to your clients that they'd be willing to pay for, that would allow us to take the client that we've got now and increase the revenue we're earning per client. Well, that's a great question. That's the second question. The third is, I don't need any more clients. I'm plenty busy. I love what I do. My clients pay me well. I'm fine with what I'm doing for them. I love it. But you know what? I work way too much. I'm working too many nights, weekends. I'm not doing the things that I'd like to be doing. I'm overwhelmed. There's got to be a smarter, a more efficient way of doing this. In fact, there's got to be a more profitable way of doing this, where I could work less and still make what I'm earning today. And that question basically helps us identify, of those three situations, which is the situation you are in. As so, when we're going to work on your business, what are we going to do first?
Okay, and my follow-up question was possibly answered by that last word you said first, because I would guess that a lot of people would say, it's all three of those. It's all three. I want to grow. I'm working crazy hard right now. And I keep hearing about advisory work and needing to add more value. I need to do all three of them. So what would you advise in that case where someone thinks it's all three?
Well, first of all, that is the most common response of, it is all three. And what I try to do is help them recognize that although we need to be working on the business in each of these areas, we're going to prioritize right now which it is that we need to be giving emphasis to. And that helps us basically then hone in on where we can make the biggest impact today in the business. And so it's, what are we going to be working on in the next month, the next quarter, that we can really go deep, and in doing so, kind of address or resolve this area of the company. And so this is what we call mapping the business, and we're going to identify that one area that we're going to just prioritize for the next month or quarter.
Okay, makes perfect sense. So if somebody, let's say, said to you, we want to focus on growth. That's the thing, which I guess is pretty common. Most firms, most businesses, most accounting firms want to grow their business. So if that's the case, if it's all about marketing and sales, what do you do first? What do you do to get the owner of the firm focused in that area?
Excellent question. So we begin using 9 principles that we believe are essential to be profitable in the business. And as it relates to marketing, the very first thing is, nothing happens until you make a sale. It's recognizing that of all the things we can and should be doing in the organization, we have to make it a priority that we're in a marketing and sales mindset. What activity today are we going to be doing in that area? So to help with this conversation, we first of all distinguish between what is marketing and what is sales. For many accounting professionals, this clarification is very insightful. Marketing, we define it as anything, all the efforts that you're doing to identify a potential customer, where that customer can raise their hand and say, hey, what you're doing interests me. I could perhaps benefit from your services. Once we have that contact, we know who they are, we have their contact information, name, email. Once that's known, they are now in a sales funnel, a sales process, where we're going to nurture them to the point that they're going to see us as the expert, and that we have a product, a service that will benefit them. Now, that sales funnel, that process could take a moment, a day, a month, a year, to take that contact and move them through that sales process to the point that we're able to meet with them one-on-one, learn of their situation, offer our services, and get an engagement. And that's that process from marketing through sales to actually getting a new customer.
Okay, and so you use the word there, process. We'd say process in the UK, process, and so
Process.
You're an advocate, I guess. Then marketing is a lot about having systems, a systematic way of doing things. Is that correct?
That is what we actually teach is the rule of thumb. We want to have 4 proven marketing strategies, places that we're able to go to get the clients that we're needing. And this can include online efforts, networking meetings we're going to, just a variety of things that we know these 4 methods are ways that we bring in those potential customers. The 5th is the rule of thumb to suggest that we're always testing a new marketing strategy, some new place that we can be going to meet our ideal customers. And if we're doing those 5 things, we're able to turn them up, turn them down. We can actually gauge what we're needing to do to bring in those potential customers, because the whole idea is to never let off on filling that sales funnel, always putting new people into the top so that we can nurture them through the sales process.
And as many people here who were in at the start know, we happen to be running a live stream Tuesday of next week on what's working in the accounting profession right now to grow the business in 2023. So I'm going to ask the question of you, Roger. If you were to give what you think is the top ways at the moment, what's working, what's in terms of growing an accounting firm, what are the 2 or 3 strategies that you're finding are working best?
Right now, for a lot of the people I work with, the networking is proving to be very effective right now. The idea of going out into various places, such as these networking organizations, the chambers, but more importantly, if you know your ideal customer, participating in an association or organization where that ideal customer typically resides, you're going to find yourself being in a position where you can stand out and really appear to be the premier accounting firm for that customer. And what we're going to do is just take, for an example, many of the people that I know, as they niche their services, join the associations, the organizations for which their clients actually join. And while you're there, you're able to stand out as not one of those people that are actually in that niche, but the accountant for that profession. And all of a sudden, you're going to be that unique individual that has a preferred understanding of their needs. You're able to meet them uniquely, and all of a sudden, you become that preferred vendor that they're going to outsource their accounting services to. So for us, we find that the networking is one of those few that say 5 things that they need to be involved in.
Absolutely, makes perfect sense. Just like for you and I, Roger, we often go to the various accounting conferences because that's how we then meet our ideal client, our target market, the people we serve. So yes, that works. So when you say networking,
Exactly.
yeah, when you say networking, Roger, there are, I assume there you're referring to physical events like conferences, trade exhibitions, networking events, and so on. What's your view then on networking via social media? Things like joining Facebook groups of your ideal target market.
Very much a proponent of it. So there is this idea of creating a virtual business where you can have clients that reside anywhere and everywhere. And all of a sudden, with social media, we have the means to find those communities online, whether it be Facebook, LinkedIn, and really target our ideal clients and get involved in the conversations that they're having online. And as you come into those spaces, you're likewise going to be perceived as the expert, simply because of the fact that you're probably the only one in that group that's coming at it from an accounting perspective. Everyone else is a peer to that individual. And so they're giving those same types of responses and insights. You're bringing something new to the conversation. And so, yes, I'm very much a proponent of getting involved on the social media platforms, participating there. And I'm going to add to it one more thing. It's not just to go and engage, it's there that you want to use a philosophy of offering for free various insights and free resources, insights that they can benefit from, so that they see you as the expert, because you're contributing in a way that's beneficial already without them having to pay for your services.
Absolutely, that's so important, and I think particularly important for our profession. So let me just add a question just to clarify on that, because you mentioned a couple of times there. Why is it so important for accountants and bookkeepers to be seen as the expert? What in your view, why should they be seen as the expert? Why is that so important?
Well, I'm going to come with a few opinions here. One, I think as an accounting profession, we do a poor job of educating business owners as to why we are essential to their success. I think too often businesses are either unaware or they see us as a liability, a debt to their business. It's a necessary expense that they incur because they're in business. And in reality, I feel we have so much more to offer as an accounting profession that really we can bring an ROI to the relationship that we have with our clients, and educating the business owner as to why they need to reach out to us, engage with the accounting profession, utilize the services that we provide, where we give them insights about their company, a perspective about their business that they don't get otherwise because of the financial reports we bring to the table. Those things are oftentimes not understood by the business owner. And if we're in a position where we can educate, inform, our prospective clients of why they should be working with us as accounting professionals, you're sounding different than any other bookkeeper, tax preparer, accountant out there. You're helping give them a perspective of, you know what, I want to work with this individual. They obviously have a vested interest in my success. They're curious about the work I do. They are genuinely wanting to help me. Well, I want to pay them because I think their insights are going to be helpful.
Absolutely, agree 100% there. At the end of the day, we're all in our firms chasing the best clients. We all want the best clients, the ones that the ambitious business owners, they want to grow, they value their input from their accounting professional. But whilst there's so many potential clients out there, they're not all great clients, and there's only a finite number of great clients. And the thing we have to realize is that the best clients out there, the best clients, they want to work with the best accountant, the best bookkeeper. And so what we have to do is demonstrate that we are the best. We have to, I call it expert positioning ourselves as the expert. But that's exactly what you're saying. It makes so much sense.
Well, thank you, because I agree. What we need to do is stand out in our professions as being the solution, the best option for them. That's why I emphasize so much the idea of becoming a premier accounting firm. They need to see us as an essential resource to their success as a business owner.
Sure, yeah. And anybody here who's listening who knows that's something they need to improve on is one of the ways that you can do that is what's commonly referred to now as content marketing, which we will certainly be talking about on the live stream next Tuesday. And the world of content marketing is going to get is now so much easier for you because of technology, AI, ChatGPT. And so if you want to be seen as the expert and you want to become make content marketing much easier, then on Wednesday of next week, Emily and I are doing a live stream on how you as accountants can use ChatGPT. So Tuesday and Wednesday, we'll be going really deep on that particular topic. I have a question for you,
And
Roger.
Mark, I'm glad that you are, because, yeah, go ahead.
No, after you.
Well, I like that you're going to be addressing this, because ChatGPT is a topic of discussion, and it is something that as accounting professionals we should be using. And it's not just in the accounting space as we're working with our clients. It's in our marketing. It's in the content that we're producing, that we're going to be putting out there. It can help us in the sales letters that we're preparing as we do our letters of engagement. It can help us in the monthly financials that we're providing as we try to summarize the results of what their numbers are for that quarter, that year to date. There's a lot of uses here, and I appreciate the fact that you're going to be spending some time on that next week.
Thank you, Roger. Yes, it's my team and I have been immersed in it for several weeks now and figuring out what's the best ways that accounting firms can use it. So can't wait for that session next week. I got a question come in from, I'm not sure if her name is Sunny or not, or if that's the business name. So forgive me, Sunny, but it might be not your name. But she says, did anyone write down the 5 methods Roger mentioned? I only have 3. So Roger, could you just quickly for Sunny summarize what those 5 were?
So I didn't state specifically 5. What I spoke of is what's referred to as the rule of thumb. The rule of thumb is to say you need to figure out for yourself what are those 4 proven marketing strategies that you find effective in getting the clientele that you're looking for. For some people, it might be that they're doing public speaking. For other individuals, it's networking at a BNI event. It might be someone participating in a chamber or joining an association, an organization. It could be your social media services that you're doing. It could be blogging that you're participating participating in. There's a variety of marketing methods that you can use to get in front of your potential customers and have them represent themselves. A new one that a lot of people may not be familiar with is having a sales funnel. It's a landing page online where you offer something for free in exchange for them to provide in a form their contact information. So you're providing a white paper, maybe you're giving some a course information that basically says, in exchange for your contact information, I'll give you this great resource. They provide that to you. You now have them as a contact. Now begins that sales process I spoke of nurturing them to the point of wanting to meet with you. So there's not specifically four that everyone should be doing, but you need to identify for yourself four. And the fifth, the rule of thumb, is to suggest that you always should be in that testing mode. You should be open-minded to something new, replacing one of these others that in the past has worked, but maybe it's no longer effective today.
Yeah, great summary, and I agree with that. We should be thinking about not just one marketing strategy, but four is a great number, because they won't necessarily all work. We spread our risk. We grow more consistently when we've got different ways of attracting clients. And so I like that, having four. And next Tuesday, Sonny, I'll be sharing with you what our thoughts are the top ones. And Roger, you've said some great ones. You talked about networking, which is very powerful. You just mentioned about the funnel, which we call the lead generation system, which I think is essential. Every firm should have a lead generation system in their business, because the technology makes it so easy. I remember my first ebook I wrote, and the opt-in page, I had to get it coded because we didn't have the tech back then, but now it's so crazy easy. And then using tools like ChatGPT, you can really take some huge shortcuts in creating the content, as we'll look at. Anyway, she says, thanks, Roger. So thanks for confirming that. Let's move on to something else. We've talked about marketing sales quite a bit. You talk about the three core services that firms could or should offer, which is the second area people could focus on. So let's talk a little bit about creating value and the three core services.
Exactly. So I feel that we as an accounting profession should, first of all, do a much better job of explaining each of these to our clients, but let's first understand them for ourselves. And these are ones that we get to decide whether or not we are going to provide. And so I'm going to break it down as to three things: bookkeeping and accounting services, tax planning and preparation services, and the last being CFO and advisory services. So let me go into each of these. There's 6 of them, obviously, but I'm going to define them real quickly, and then we can discuss them as you would like. Bookkeeping, that's obviously everything we're doing to prepare the financials, basically the compliance work that we're providing for the client, where we're providing them on a monthly, at no less a quarterly basis. We're giving them their P&L, their balance sheet, their cash flow report, and all that's doing is giving them that historical information, and we're able to say it's accurate, it's timely, it's here for you to use. That's where the accountant now comes in. The accountant is going to now take that information and interpret it for the business owner. This is so essential, because at this point, the reports may not be useful to the client, but the accountant is able to take those reports and do a comparison and see what trends are going on in the business. How did last month compare to the previous month? How did last quarter compare to the previous quarter? How did last month compare to the same month last year? And as we do this analysis, we're going to be able to show what trends are existing in the business. Inflation has been a topic of today, and what we're able to show is that our cost of goods have changed year over year, and we're able to show that all of a sudden the cost of goods have gone up, that our gross margin percentage has decreased. We're no longer taking out of that total income the same percent that we used to. Well, to communicate that to the client and say, yes, there's inflation. Yes, your cost of goods have gone up. Yes, your margin is shrinking. But to give them now absolutes and say, well, you've gone from let's say a 17% cost of goods to a 22%, they can more clearly know that they need to raise their prices. But before, they just knew they needed to raise their prices. Now they have a percent. Raise your prices as much as, say, 8, 9, 10%, and you should get back that margin that you've lost through the inflation of the cost of goods. These types of analysis need to be done by the accountant at that level. The second is tax planning and preparation. Tax planning is so different than tax preparation. Preparation is obviously filing those forms, getting the taxes taken care of in a timely manner, accurately filling out the forms so that they're being compliant legally to what they're owing for taxes. But tax planning, that's where it's more strategy. It's knowing the tax law, understanding what the business owner can implement during the year to minimize or mitigate their tax liability. This is a strategy. This is actually meeting with the business owner, making business decisions as to purchasing equipment. It's when to hire employees, different things that can be done that limit their tax liability. And it's a strategy. This is totally different than filling out the forms and filing them. This is working with the business owner to lower that tax liability. The third is then the CFO and advisory services. CFO, this is where we're working with the client, if we're in this capacity and being paid to do this, where we're actually assisting them with cash flow management decisions. We're helping them recognize what kind of relationship they need to have with their customer. Should they be asking for a larger down payment to cover some of the payroll costs and cost of goods to provide that product or service, so that you're not acting like a bank and fronting for the client these things until the product and service is delivered for them to pay in full. It's also working with the vendors. Are you paying your vendors on a net 10, a net 15, a net 45? How quickly are you paying out those things that your vendors are needing to supply to you? The other happens to be regarding your relationship with the banking institutions and your venture capitalists, the ways that you're getting the capital in the business. As a CFO, you're helping the business owner make these cash flow management decisions, from accounts payable to accounts receivable, how you're managing all those things to make sure you've got the money in the business to run the company effectively. And then on the advisory level, you can get into more of a business coaching setting where you're offering services beyond just what the accounting is. It's helping the business owner plan for their exit strategy and building a business that has the value that they expected. It's literally helping them limit risks that are outside of the accounting, and all of a sudden build the business that they are proud of and are ready to sell if and when that day comes. All 6 of these things are services as an accounting professional you can choose to offer, and as such be paid for, and they really do enhance what it is your client is receiving from you for the services you provide.
I love that breakdown of 6 areas. I guess in my head I keep it a bit more simplistic. I love what you do. I mean, I see it as being compliance services, which is the bookkeeping, the preparation of the tax returns, and then advisory. And then in the field of advisory, usually for most firms, advisory is either tax planning, tax advisory, or it's business advisory, profit advisory. But it can be other things. There's huge opportunities in the profession now, I think for bookkeepers particularly, to help clients with systemizing through technology, because bookkeepers are pretty smart when it comes to, we need to interconnect all these different things to make the bookkeeping easier, and many of those apps and so on can help the client be more efficient. So I think systems is a big area, and so I like the way you broke it down into those 6. I guess a question. So there's a lot of talk, and has been for several years in the profession, about we need to be creating more value. We need to be moving to advisory. And I came across some more research just literally this week, which is suggesting that a lot of what we're going to be doing is going to be automated by AI very soon, and I can see that happening. So there is this argument we need to be shifting towards adding more value and advisory work. But at the same time, I find a lot of the profession, bookkeepers particularly, but also some accountants, really struggling with how do you deliver advisory work to clients. Any thoughts on that? Any advice you can give?
Tons. It's a topic which I'm very passionate about. So I'm going to answer your question, but I'm going to set it up with this. I feel that in the accounting community, we have been talking about this for some time. You and I have gone to conferences, and it's regularly a topic of we need to be providing more value. But there are 3 elements to this. How do we market it? How do we help our potential client understand that we provide this service and that it's something that they should be considering? How do we sell it? How do we price it so that they actually are willing to pay what we feel we're worth in that space? Because the pricing is totally different than the compliant work that we're doing, the tax preparation we may be providing. So all of a sudden, we've got an issue of marketing and selling it, pricing it. But to your point, it's also then a delivery of how do you provide that service, deliver it. And so let me answer your question by pointing this out, that I feel that to look a business owner in the eye and say that you can competently provide these services is one thing. 2 months, 3 months into the relationship, to come to each of those meetings and meet with your client with a good deal of confidence as to what it is they need to be doing to work on their business as you deliver in that advisory space, that's fine. But when you've asked for them to commit to 6 months, 12 months, 18 months of you providing that type of a service, I do know that many people struggle at month 6. What am I going to do now? They're paying me very well, but what am I doing month 6, month 9? And we specifically address that because I believe we need to have a very structured program that we can confidently deliver to our clients. When we're competent in our services as accounting professionals, we're able to comfortably sell it. If we have any questions or reservations as to what we can do in the advisory space, we're going to be more reluctant to ask for what we really deserve. But when you have a clear process, a program that you competently can deliver over a 12, 18 or more duration, you're comfortable in saying, I'm going to ask for $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month above and beyond the compliance work that I do to work as your business advisor. And I have a program, a specific process that I take you through over the next 12, 18, 24 months that's intentional and deliberate to help you work on your business. And when you have that system in place that you can follow and deliver, you're confident in your ability to get that client to move the needle in their company. They're comfortable paying you because they see these things happening in their business. Yes, we teach a very specific process. It's in a program we have that's called the Profit and Growth Expert, and as well the Universal Business Builder program. Highly recommend it. But yes, it's to your point of you've got to have a process that you're following with your client.
Awesome. And I'm going to ask everybody listening, we're going to do a very quick poll right now. So if you think about business advisory services, and we think about that, I love those 3 areas, Roger: marketing, selling, which I think is pricing is part of selling, marketing, selling, delivery. Which one's your biggest challenge with advisory? That's not for you, Roger. That's for everybody. Just put it in the chat box right now. Is it selling? Is it marketing, selling, or delivery? Marketing, selling, delivery. Type one of those 3 in the chat box, and we'll just get a rough feel, a rough poll as to which is the one that people tend to struggle with the most. And so I think the first person to answer is Farron. But I'll give it a little bit of time for some more to come through. And while I'm just doing that, I did want to do, while we're just waiting for that to come through, so bear with me a second, Roger, because I don't know if you know, Roger, there's about a 10-second delay when things are streamed out to things like YouTube. So when I said type in the chat box, nobody will have seen that for 10 seconds. So I'm just going to give a quick shout out to Joan, who's here, where it's extremely cold in British Columbia, Canada. So great to see you, Joan. Any other shout outs that I need to give? I don't know who this person is, because in Facebook groups you have to give permission for the name to be made available here. But somebody said, I'm definitely missing the marketing strategy. I'm only learning if potential clients, when those businesses get demand to file tax return letters from CRA, I'm not reaching these businesses that are hiding from the evils of tax debts until they are in danger of having their bank accounts seized. Yes, I'd like better quality clients, but some of these businesses could be quality clients if they were proactive with accounting services. Sorry, that disappeared off the screen, but it was quite a long one there. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, let me tell you what I can see as being probably the biggest challenge from the group here. So Farron, Sonny, it's delivery. Someone says selling, someone says marketing. Bill Robinson says it's delivery, marketing, delivery, marketing, selling. I think it's probably pretty much a three-way split, Roger, that in terms of what the biggest challenge was. So I was hoping to get a clear winner, because I was going to ask a question about one of those before we move on. And so I am going to ask a question, because the latest one that's come in was from Shanlilio, I think. Delivery. Let me ask a delivery question. So, just very quickly, Roger, how would somebody think about structuring the delivery of advisory work? Any tips on that?
I do. First of all, I think you need to establish, in addition to the meetings you're having with your client as it relates to the accounting work and the tax that you're doing, that at a minimum, you should be meeting with your client once a month for between 1 to 3 hours as you do the advisory work. And the advisory is made up of 3 stages. One, you need to educate the customer as to a principle, a business principle that they need to be implementing in their business and why it impacts their business valuation, their bottom line, their profit margin, and so forth. The second thing is, once you've educated them as to an important business principle that they need to be implementing, you need to help them then identify how it's going to be implemented. And this is for them to decide. They need to understand how that's going to be applicable in their business and decide how they're going to implement it. The third thing is then you need to be, as a business coach, in my opinion, asking them for how's it going to be done, who's going to be doing it in the organization, and a timeline. You need to be able to establish what they're going to do so that you can hold them accountable for this. And that's how you fulfill the role of the business coach, because you're not just teaching them as an advisor. You're not just having them tell you what they're going to do in the sense that this is some informational thing. Hey, thanks for sharing it with me. You're now getting some accountability by them declaring when and by whom it's going to be done in the organization. And so that's very important. But I'm going to share with you 5 things that I feel are essential as to the delivery. The 5 things are very important. We believe that in a minimum, when you're providing these services, you first have to do what I call engage and manifest. You need to take the time to learn about your business client, why they're in business, what they're passionate about, why they feel they're making a difference in their business industry, how their customers benefit from the services they're providing, and when things get tough, why they're doing this. Why are they going through the process of running a business? What's their end game? And as you engage and manifest with them at this point, they're going to declare with you their goals that are going to be helpful in the rest of the discussions. The second thing is understanding accounting. We need to go into a deep dive as to what KPIs they watch in their organization, what are the leading and lagging indicators that are essential for them to be successful. And these are numbers outside of the accounting P&L balance sheet type numbers. These are other numbers that oftentimes are tracked by the business owner that you should be aware of. And you need to be able to have a conversation with them about why those are important and what's being done to track them effectively so that you can find the ROIs. The third thing is increasing revenue. I do believe that you need to be finding out from the business owner how they market their product and service, how they sell their product and service. And you need to be able to, from an accounting perspective, bring in, well, your advertising dollars are being spent here, your payroll dollars are being spent here. This is the ROI you're getting, and help them understand what they can be doing to grow the top line revenue of the business. The fourth is increasing profits. We need to be able to identify how we can help them keep more of the money they're making and help them make profit intentional and deliberate. As we focus on this fourth thing, we're probably helping them realize the most important thing to them, which is why they're in business. They're trying to make money. If they don't, they're going to disappear. The fifth is building value. We literally need to now put an emphasis on what is the company worth. They have in their mind that the company is worth $1 million, $10 million, $50 million. But is it really? And as a business advisor, we have a way of basically helping them assess the valuation of their company. We've got the balance sheet. We can do EBITDA. There's a variety of ways that we can assess what that company is really worth, not just what they think it's worth, but what it really is worth, and then help move the needle towards what they want it to become. And as we help them in that process, we can literally help them impact the top line revenue, the profit, and the valuation of their company. These are the 5 things that I feel as business advisors we should be focusing on. Those things help you deliver a quality advisory package.
Roger, that's awesome advice. I love that. Those 5 things are great. So I hope everyone wrote those down. I know that we've had, I do have one question that's come in, but it's actually a question, I think, for me. Jean said, well, first of all, said, it's awesome advice. So there you go. But also, will there be a replay? Jean, this is on my live stream. So yes, I know you're an Academy member, but my live streams you can catch up anytime. It's on my YouTube channel. We will keep it here. And if anyone wants to prefer to listen back, it will be a podcast episode in the not too distant future. And I noticed that poll earlier, what are the three things which thing do people find hardest about advisory, marketing, selling and pricing, or delivery? Since we started, there's still people coming in. Justin said marketing and customer service. Susan said selling and delivery. Letta said marketing. So it is kind of all over the place. It's all a challenge. So, but the great news is that you have a program for people. I'll just give a quick perspective because Bill, my good friend Bill Robinson's asked a whole bunch of questions. Well, not questions, comments. I think comments. But I know he said he knows how to do things like the building of the forecast, the cash flow models, and the using the tools. But his key issue is how do you keep the conversations fresh? And my perspective on that is, and you touched on it, Roger. I think with advisory, the most important skill with advisory is asking the right questions. It's about asking questions. It's about having great questions. And I find that when I do advisory work with business owners, whatever we're working on last month will spring in my mind some great questions this month to see how they're getting on with that, and in new challenges. And it's asking great questions. The answer is always going to be different. It keeps the conversation fresh. So my advice is, as part of an ongoing advisory work, make sure you have great questions to keep asking every single month. Not sure if you want to add to that, Roger.
Mark, would you mind if I add to that?
Yeah, please do. Please do.
Yes. So the one thing I would want to add is, first of all, you're spot on the questions. And this is important for us to understand as accounting professionals, because oftentimes this is the thing that holds people back from moving into the advisory services. They feel like they're supposed to have all the answers oftentimes, when in reality, you're correct. Our job is to have all the right questions. The better the questions we ask, the better advisory services we're able to provide, because honestly, the client knows the answer. They're the expert in their business. They're the expert in their industry. They are the expert in that space. And what we're trying to do is draw out from them, using these questions, the things that they need to be considering as they work on their business. And so you're 100% correct. It is literally asking the right questions, but I'm going to add a second to it. It's also the accountability. When we can actually, as good business advisors, hold them accountable when no one else does. It's always said about business owners that it's lonely at the top. Well, that's true, because nobody else is holding them accountable, the answer to no one. So what we're trying to do is have them take what they've told us is important, and the next time we meet, get a report. Did you do it? Was it taken care of? You told me it was important, that it was pressing. Well, did you address it? And you're the only one asking that question, so you need to hold them accountable as well.
Great advice. I love that. So it's so correct. I'm conscious that we're running out of time fast, and there's a lot more we can talk about. And to just kind of bring it back, this whole conversation started with you were talking about when you first working with an accountant. There's about their business plan. There's three areas you asked to identify which is the most important to focus on. One of those was growing, which we've talked about, growth. The second one was creating value, and we've just talked about that. But we're missing one, so let's move on to the third one. And the third one is, let's imagine they are happy with their growth right now, and they're happy with the services they offer. What's the next step? Which, if I remember right, you said the third thing is they're struggling right now. They're just working crazy hours. It's a time issue. So where do we go with that?
Well, it's going to be two things, and I'll keep it brief because of time. One is operating procedures. We need to be in a position where we can standardize the things that we're doing so that we can systemize our processes. Hopefully, we're going to be in a position that after we've documented everything, we can then duplicate, which is to basically say, hire someone else to do these things and expect the same type of results for our clients. And then the third is delegate. We need to get to a point where we are not the business, that we're able to grow our organization, hire individuals that can deliver a quality product for our clients. And so document, duplicate, delegate is a very big important part. The second thing is technology. Your tech stack is essential to this. The more and more we can automate, whether it's through technology, our internal processes, or the client-facing technologies, things that our clients might be interacting with so that we can deliver a product that leverages some technology. Those things can be time efficient. They can help us be more efficient in the sense that we're following a system for all of our clients that everyone is adhering to. Those tech stacks, embrace the technology. It's making our jobs easier. And in my mind, it allows us to do the more important work, which has become that business advisor, that trusted advisor that we're able to then help our clients as that translator, the interpreter, all of these roles that I think we should be embracing as an accounting profession because everything else has been automated.
Great. Awesome advice. I love those three areas that you get firms to focus on and prioritize which ones the most important. There's still so much more we can talk about. And one thing we ought to really mention before we finish is certainly your book, In the Black. And I know that in the book, you refer to the 9 principles of that make a business profitable. We may not have time to go through all through 9, because I'd like to ask you about your building the premier accounting firm as well. But share some of those 9 principles.
Well, I'll share them first of all this way. Each of the 3 areas, marketing, accounting, and production, have 3. And each of those falls into a category of a short term, something that needs to be done immediately this month. We're going to take care of that in all 3 areas. One's a midterm, something that needs to be done in the coming quarter. What can we work on to improve the business? And then the last is long term, where only we as business owners can really look at the vision of the company as it relates to our growth, as it relates to the services we're providing as accounting professionals. And the last thing being production, how we deliver that quality product to our clients. All those things have a short, a mid, and a long term. And those 9 areas of the business are ones that we can focus on and basically develop. The first that I shared at the beginning of this whole discussion was regarding marketing. Nothing happens until you make a sell. Definitely want to point that out again.
Okay. Great. We've got about 5 minutes. What else should we talk about? Also, let's talk about, you've got a podcast, which I mentioned at the start because I featured on it, and the podcast is called Building the Premier Accounting Firm. Why that title? What do you mean by building the premier accounting firm? How do you define that?
So the first thing I would say is it's recognizing that we need to decide what services we're going to be providing our clients so that we can clearly articulate how they benefit from what it is we do. The second thing related to that is then I believe we can more intelligently price our services, which you're an expert at, because now we're clear as to what it is we're doing and what the client is getting. So already with the premier accounting firm, we're able to identify how the clients are benefiting from interacting with our services. The second part of building the premier accounting firm is then recognizing that we have the ability to niche our services and really take an effort to build a very unique service for the clients we're servicing so that what we're doing isn't something that they can get from anyone else. It helps retain the client. It helps them become very dependent upon us in the sense that they want our information, our insights, our perspectives, because we're helping them make more informed business decisions as they run their companies. And so to build the premier accounting firm, it's offering quality services. It's getting paid what we're worth because we're properly pricing what we're doing. And then thirdly, we're delivering quality services. And if we're doing all 3 of those things, in my mind, I believe you are then, in fact, that premier accounting firm that you've hoped to become.
Awesome. And you mentioned in that list, there's lots of things there we could talk about and pick up on, but you mentioned about niche. And often we hear this phrase that the specialist makes more money than the generalist. So how important, in your view, is it for accounting firms to really niche down and get really focused on their ideal client?
Excellent question. And you're right, it is something that's often discussed. So I'm going to answer it, first of all, by clarifying that, in my opinion, niching or niching, whichever you choose to say, isn't to say that you don't take clients other than that particular industry that you've identified. What it does mean, in my opinion, is you've chosen that niche that you're going to now refine your marketing messaging, your sales. What are you providing to nurture those clients in that industry? You're going to define the services that you're providing them to be very specific to their needs. But you could do the same thing for an adjacent industry. And you can have, in my opinion, multiple niches that you're actually focusing on simply because of the fact that you're able to see how you can deliver a quality product to that industry uniquely. But it doesn't mean you don't work with anyone else. It just means that your messaging is clear, your delivery is something specific to their needs, and all of a sudden you're offering great things. Great example here, just to illustrate this. You can choose to niche with orthodontists, but then you can also niche with dentists. You can niche with people that are basically doing wisdom teeth extraction. They're all in the same area, but your messaging from a marketing point of view might be very specific to the orthodontist versus the dentist. The services, they might be different simply because of the clientele and how they're paying for the services. So your accounting might be a little unique to that industry. They're very similar to us from an accounting perspective. The debits, credits, the P&L, they're very similar, but to them it's unique, and they need to hear that we're providing something that's niche to their needs.
Awesome. That's great. Final question, and this is an important one. If people listening, I know people are loving what you're saying from the comments. And by the way, if you've had value from this session, please give it the thumbs up, the like button, whichever social media platform you're on. Let Roger know that you've delivered some value. And also, it would be great as well, share in the comments box. What's the best thing you've learned so far from Roger? What's the key insight that that you're going to take away and develop and work on? So my question for you, Roger, is if someone wants to find out more about you, about Universal Accounting, what can they do? And I know that Sarah's going to put some links into the comments for everybody, so you might want to refer to some of those links as well.
So I'm going to give you three things. First of all, definitely, if you haven't yet, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd love to connect with you. That's a wonderful place for us to connect, and I would encourage that. Second, we have a site, universalaccounting.com, where we have a variety of free resources, one of which you can go on the free resource page and receive a copy of In the Black, the ebook version of this, to actually find out more about these 9 principles to make your business profitable. We also have some additional free resources there that you want to take advantage of as you're running your company, as well as podcast information regarding the episodes I have, and you can see Mark having been a guest there. The third thing is universalaccountingschool.com. It's at Universal Accounting School that we talk about the various things that you can do to build your premier accounting firm, whether you're starting your business or building your business. It's the various tools, resources that you can use as a leader, as well as to train your staff. And I would encourage you to check out those resources, because those programs are designed to help you become the premier accounting firm in your area.
Awesome. And I can still see people starting to put into the comments some of the things that they got out of today's session. So Farron, the bit you talked about where processes are important, she found that was really insightful. Sunny says she found having a niche. I hope it is Sunny. Sorry, it might be your business name. Forgive me. But having a niche doesn't mean you don't work with anyone else. Insightful. Thanks, Roger. Lucy said, great takeaways explaining what is bookkeeping, accounting, etc. When you went through, I think it was the 3 cores and the 6 areas. That was great. So keep the comments coming. What was the most valuable bit? And we will read them later when we have the closing music. I have a few announcements to make, but I just want to wrap up by saying, Roger, it's been amazing. You've shared so much. It's been awesome. I knew it would be awesome, but yeah, you shared so much, and so thank you so much. And we may catch up on another episode sometime.
My pleasure.
And if you ever want me to be on a podcast episode again, just reach out. Happy to do that.
Most certainly. Thank you for the opportunity. This has been a pleasure. And always remember, if it's about accounting, it is universal.
That's great. Okay, thank you, Roger. We have about 3 minutes left. I am just going to wrap up with a few announcements. And so I don't think those links have come in the chat box yet. I'm just checking. Sarah is going to put all the links to the things that Roger mentioned. It takes a bit of time because you've got to dig them out. You've got to post them into Facebook group, Facebook page, YouTube. Most of you are on LinkedIn and wherever else you're coming in from. So they will be coming at some point soon. Just be patient, and we will put them into the description underneath as well. So those links will be there. So a few things I just wanted to mention. One of the things I wanted to mention, I'm going to tell you what some of the live streams are coming up. There's 3 live streams coming up very soon that you'll want to know about. Before that, one of the things that some of you I know very well, you're in the Value Pricing Academy. If you're not in one of my academies yet, the Value Pricing Academy is closed right now. We don't take enrollments until next June. But if you are wanting to start on a journey of working with me and my team, we did launch just a few weeks back something brand new. It's called the Profitable Growth Academy, and we're going to put a link. Sarah's just said, having some issues with slow Wi-Fi. Okay, the links will be coming. Don't worry, they will be coming. So we launched a few weeks ago something called the Profitable Growth Academy, which is our entry-level academy. We will put the link in the description and in the chat so you can check it out. And this is for you if you want to. If you're not ready for the Value Pricing Academy yet, want an easy place to start working with me and my team and getting training. And there is a founder member offer right now. You can get it at a crazy low price. So just go to the page. It's pga.wickersham.co.uk. Link will come in there. There's a video from me. And then as you scroll down, you'll be able to find out all the things that we'll teach you about building a great accounting firm. We'll teach you the 4 key foundations. Okay, upcoming live streams. We have 1 minute left, 60 seconds. So the upcoming live streams, we have 3 coming your way. Firstly, tomorrow. I will be running a live stream on how to pre-qualify clients and avoid time wasters. So if that's an issue for you, I'll be spending about 60 minutes sharing some content and then answering your questions live. Same time as today, that's tomorrow. And then next week we have how to grow your accounting firm in 2023. That'll be a conversation between me and our internal head of marketing, Emily, who's amazing at marketing. So you're going to learn what are the top strategies for 2023. What are the things that are working right now for firms to grow? So if that's your issue, growth, that's next Tuesday. And then the big hot topic at the moment is artificial intelligence and ChatGPT. We've been exploring that for several weeks and coming up with ideas for how you can tap into the power of that, save huge amounts of time and be more efficient. We're going to share 5 practical uses for you. That's next Wednesday. I can't wait to share that content with you. So 3 sessions coming up tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday. Hopefully I will see you live at 1 or perhaps even all of those sessions. Anyway, if you found this valuable, please do the usual thing and click the thumbs up or the like button wherever you are in your whatever social channel you are on. And we are going to end now. I always end with some music for a few minutes. Gives me a chance to catch up with all the great comments. I actually haven't queued up my music, so let me get that sorted out. And I can now see that the various links to Roger's stuff have appeared in the various comments, so you can go and grab those links. And also the link that I mentioned about the Profitable Growth Academy. Okay, thanks for coming along. I will see you all soon, perhaps even at tomorrow's live stream. Bye for now.